Just when you think MAGA can't stoop any lower, they deliver again. We all know the wildfires happening in California. People are losing everything, and a lot of them have had their fire insurance canceled by major insurance companies. And not only is Trump using this for political gain, he's absolutely spreading misinformation. And the lack of empathy from his supporters is just staggering. Because not only are they unsympathetic, they're actually saying that they deserve it, that this is God's wrath, that the liberal elite are trafficking children. That's why this is happening. And they're spreading bullshit conspiracies to dehumanize the victims who are going through some real shit. And to add juxtaposition, when Hurricane Helene hit North Carolina in September, it was my liberal TikTok friends that were opening GoFundMes, that were flying over there to help, and who were sending aid because they knew that those conservatives were American citizens who needed help. And Joe Biden sure as fuck didn't make this political. He did not politically gain on his own citizens suffering. So to the people that are finding joy from these liberals suffering, you need to look in the mirror because you are absolutely f***ing this country up.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of MAGA FAFO season. So MAGA is mocking the California wildfire victims by spreading a lot of misinformation about California wildfire victims, and Donald Trump is at the forefront of it all. Let's get into it, guys. I'll be back with more commentary after this.
It is infuriating how Republicans make fighting natural disasters and tragedies so much more difficult than it needs to be. Like, just look at the California wildfires happening right now. In the age of misinformation brought in by Donald Trump, not only do state officials and elected officials have to coordinate a response to the disaster itself, but they also have to coordinate a response to fight misinformation. They have to spend time and resources and money to fight the lies that Trump and other Republicans have spread, such as the budget was cut for the fire department, or this water tap was turned off, or they could access this and they're just not doing it. It's all fake, and they have to spend time combating it. Same thing happened with North Carolina and the devastating hurricane. There are people who could still be getting aid right now from the federal government, but Donald Trump told them that there's nothing there for them, so they didn't apply. Please, when you're looking for information on the California wildfires, rely on officials in the state and data coming from these agencies, not Donald Trump. He has no idea what he's talking about, and he'll lead you astray.
Trump is blaming Gavin Newsom for the wildfires in Los Angeles. Let's do a fact check. First, let's establish what caused these wildfires. It's dangerously dry in Los Angeles right now. LA has only had 0.29 inches of rain since May. That's the least they've had since 1877. Then, as you can see down here, a terrible windstorm broke out with 50 to 80 mile per hour winds at the same time that wildfires broke out, and wind plus wildfires equals catastrophe. Now here's where Trump comes in, because he sees a story like this with fire hydrants running dry in Southern California as they're trying to fight these fires and goes, oh, it must be Gavin Newsom's fault. Trump claims that Newsom is to blame because he didn't divert a bunch of water from Northern California to Southern California, instead opting to keep that water in the north to protect specific species of fish. But here's the thing. LA didn't run out of water. This is an infrastructure problem, not a supply problem. Because the demand for this kind of fire was 4 times greater than anybody had ever seen. And as you can see down here, the city allocates water based on need. So they don't have hydrants full of water to fight 1,000 fires at a time. They're designed to fight 1 or 2 fires at a time. And despite all those limitations, only 20% of hydrants actually went dry. And again, it's not a supply issue. LA has the water already to divert back to those hydrants that went dry and get them the amount that they need. So it's obvious what Trump is trying to do by blaming Gavin Newsom. He's pretending that this entire thing could have been avoided if only Gavin Newsom had diverted water from Northern California to Southern California. But just a basic accounting for the facts proves that that is bullshit. LA has enough water supply to handle this fire. What they don't have is an infrastructure designed to handle a fire 4 times worse than they've ever seen. This will undoubtedly be a difficult lesson for Los Angeles to learn in how they have to climate-proof their city. But that's what this is. It's a set of very unfortunate circumstances, mostly caused by climate change and some historic levels of drought. It's not Gavin Newsom's fault. It's not Donald Trump's fault. It's the fault of a lot of bad circumstances. So obviously, I rate Donald Trump's claims as false.
The images coming out of California right now are looking very apocalyptic. People are losing everything. Fortunately, federal funds have been approved to help with aid and recovery because they are definitely going to need it. Regardless of who is at fault, and I do agree that this issue definitely needs to be addressed eventually, but regardless, for right now, the issue at hand are the tens of thousands of Americans who are having their lives flipped upside down. As of this moment, the fires have destroyed over 90,000 acres, and they have had zero success in containing it. So my question is, how much of federal funds do you think we're going to provide in aid? Mind you, thousands of people have lost everything, their jobs, their homes, all their belongings. How much aid do you think our country should give to a state that has a city being devoured by fire? But before you answer that, I just want to remind you that we have just approved another $500 million in aid to Ukraine. $500 million. Ukraine is not one of the 50 states. Ukraine is not a part of America. But California is. California is ours. How much aid does a state in our own country that has a city being devoured by fire deserve? Keep in mind that we have given $113 billion in total aid to Ukraine so far. $113 billion in military aid, humanitarian aid, and financial aid. Billions. How much aid do you give to one of our 50 states that has a city being devoured by fire? Keep in mind that we have given our buddies occupying Palestine almost $18 billion in military aid just over the past year or so. And they're just our buddies. How much do we give back to the actual taxpayers? How much do we give back to family?
We have some major breaking news. The Kenneth Fire in California, which is around 1,000 acres, is now being investigated as a possible arson. Brian Enton from News Nation just finished interviewing LAPD, and they told him that Victory Trailhead is now a crime scene, and the Kenneth Fire is an arson investigation with one person in custody. They spoke to one of the lead investigators at the LAPD, and this is what they said.
What we know right now is that the incident started here, and about 30 minutes later, a suspect was detained over in Woodland Hills area by citizens.
So someone purposely set the Kenneth Fire?
At this time, that's what we believe, yes.
Do you know how or why they did that?
That I don't know.
Is this a crime scene right now?
Yes.
So everything's closed off?
It's being investigated as a crime.
Yeah, a possible arson. I mean, that is insane. What's happening in California is just absolutely heartbreaking. And if the LAPD are right, then the perpetrator needs to face maximum consequences, because this is just disgusting.
Yeah, I'm calling bullshit on all the Trump voters who said that they picked him because they were better off 4 years ago, or immigration or economics, or that all of the bad shit that he says, that's all just personality issues. It's fucking bullshit. Because even if you believed those things to be true for a second, after hearing all of the insane shit that he said about women and refugees and immigrants, you would go and look it up to make sure. You would do a couple of Google searches to make sure that the shit you think is true about him outweighs the truly fucking atrocious things he said about American citizens. And I know that in a matter of a few minutes, you would find out that Republican and Democratic economists agree that Trump's plans for the economy are shit. You would also find out in a matter of moments that he tanked the border bill purposely so that he could run on racism. And in the process, you'd find out that everyone who's ever worked with him, Republicans and Democrats alike, agree that he's a shit leader. So which is it, Trump voters? Is it reckless negligence or intentional negligence? We actually have to get to the bottom of this. This isn't oops, I took the last donut in the break room negligence. This is oops, I spilled a barrel of gasoline and accidentally dropped a cigarette on it in the break room negligence. This is can't disown negligence. This is you're losing relationships with family members negligence. This is if you're wrong, your country fucking fails negligence. You can try all you want, but we will not be gaslit into believing anything else.
2025 ain't been here 9 days. And girl, you came through within the first hours of you being here, cutting up. We had a whole terrorist attack in New Orleans in the first few hours that you got here. Baby, all the stuff that you done did in between then, and now LA and the surrounding areas are burning down. My prayers and my thoughts are with each and every person in that area. But you gotta chill out, sis. You don't have to, you could coast the rest of the year. We know you with the shits. We know you coming with it. But baby, this is traumatic. This is a lot. You gotta ease us in, man. You're doing too much right off the bat. Girl, chill. It's a little too much, boo. I mean, I know that you want to make your presence known. We see that you that girl, but you could be a little nicer about it, boo. This too much. It's too much. It's too much, ma'am.
Live on Fox News today, Democrat Jessica Tarlov completely debunked the Trump and Republican lie that $17 million was cut from the LA Fire Department budget. Just take a look.
There's also, which I think is particularly the most damaging story, which is that there was $17 million cut from the fire budget. And that's also inaccurate. So last year's budget had an extra $17 million because they bought one-off expenses. These SCBAs for respiratory protection for firefighters and new suits. Those aren't in the new budget because you buy them once every several years. Also, there's an additional $50 million that's been set aside for the fire department. And when they were doing the budget negotiations, it wasn't finished. So that money is coming. There will actually be more money in the fire budget next year.
Yeah, a complete lie that has been spread by a number of Republicans in very high-ranking positions. It baffles me how every time there's a natural disaster and a tragedy, whether it be hurricanes in North Carolina, hurricanes in Florida, or wildfires in California, Republicans always find a way to craft some misinformation campaign to seize some political points from it. And the crazy thing is, people fall for it. They listen to folks like Fox News and Donald Trump when they make up these lies and run with it. It's baffling, but good job to Jessica Tarlov for fact-checking them to their faces on Fox News.
So in case you missed Donald Trump's live speech this morning, which he was 34 minutes late to, by the way, this is what he discussed. The windmills are killing the whales. Mexico is ours. But also, we need a border because Mexico is dangerous. Also, we must take Canada as the 51st state, or else they don't get money from us. Also, the Panama Canal. It was sold for $1, and it's all Jimmy Carter's fault. People died from mosquitoes. Also, Gulf of Mexico sounds much more better if it's the Gulf of America. And we all know they don't want us to have TikTok because, God forbid, China has our data. But also, he brings up this guy. The guy who has data centers in the Middle East and Asia. And guess what's in Asia? Russia. Donald Trump says, we have this wonderful guy who has all these data centers in the Middle East and Asia. He's so wonderful. He's going to build them here. Here. Also talking about how there's this lovely guy that I know. He's a good friend of mine. I told him he should run to be the Prime Minister of Canada. But he's a hockey player for the Red Wings. Here. A U.S. American. The Democrats, they don't want water coming out of your faucet. They don't want water coming out of your dishwashers. They don't want water coming out of your shower. When you take a shower, it's going to be drip, drip, drip. That's no way to take a shower. But also, we have so much water, we don't know what to do with it. What are we going to do with all the water? I am the only president that has never got into any wars. But also, I just finished a few. I didn't get into any wars, but I defeated ISIS. I didn't get into any wars, but I just defeated so many people and finished so many. What did I just watch? I really can't be surprised though. Literally every time he talks, it's like this.
Well, there you have it, guys. So MAGA likes to jump into the headlines, and Donald Trump is at the forefront of this, as we have seen in the videos, actually spreading misinformation about the California wildfires just to get at the front line of the newspapers, guys. As we have seen, California is actually very dry at this time of the year, and there is a lot of wind that is gasping over the area where the fires are happening, and that actually, plus the wind, has sparked these fires actually to come and cause a lot of damage. He's also misinforming that there was some kind of under budgeting, which isn't true, guys, as we have seen it being debunked in this video, guys. Do you think that it's right for MAGA and Donald Trump to use victims, to mock victims of the California wildfire by just trying to get at the headlines of the newspapers? and by spreading misinformation. MAGA FAFO season is upon us, and Donald Trump is trying all he can just to make sure that he trends again. So guys, my heartfelt support to the victims of the wildfires, those who have lost their homes, those who have lost their properties that actually they have been working for all their lives. And guys, we have an investigation that is going on about the cause of this fire, if this fire was natural or unnatural. Thank you guys for watching this far. Let me know your comments in the comment section below. What do you think about MAGA jumping into this headline and trying to make their own by spreading misinformation? Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and see you on the next episode.